In this video, I'd like to show you how to make some basic voltage measurements of some batteries using our meter here. So what I have is some samples here, just some batteries I sort of found. Here's a D cell, here's a 9-volt battery, here's a AA battery, here's one of those little watch calculator batteries right here, a little button battery, and here's another 9-volt here. So what we'll do is we'll just see if we can make some voltage measurements of these batteries here. So the first thing I have to do is, of course, get my meter ready here, and I've sort of put a piece of tape on the leads here so it won't move out of the camera. You don't have to do that. I have these two leads here. So the way I'm going to, of course, make the voltage measurement is I'm going to touch these two leads from the voltmeter onto the metal contacts of each battery. So here on the 9-volt, and when I get the big D cell out, I'll put them on either side like this. Same with the AA, and the other 9-volt will be similar here. But before I can expect to make the measurement, I need to know what setting to put my meter on. So again, you can review the last video here, but what I'm doing here is all these batteries here, it turns out, are DC voltage sources. They put out voltages that don't change. They only change as the battery dies, but over short term, the voltage is constant here. So that means I'm going to click my meter over to the DC volt right over here. It looks like someone was making a DC amp measurement. I definitely don't want to do that. The amp measurement will not give me the voltage of the battery here. So I'm going to click this thing over to the DC volt scale, and it's not really, well, let's just think for a minute, what scale do I want to put it on? I've got this 9-volt battery here, and these other ones here I just happen to know are about 1.5 volts or so. So I don't really need it on the 1000-volt setting. I don't really need it on the 200. I think I'll probably get by just fine on the 20-volt setting. And typically meters will have a setting like this that's very useful for a variety of voltage measurements. So here I am. I'm on DC volts. I have it on a good maximum scale. So let's go ahead and turn the meter on. And of course right now it's not measuring anything, so it's measuring a voltage of 0. So the first thing I'll do is let's just try the 9-volt battery first. I'll just go ahead and touch these leads directly at the top of the 9-volt and see what I get. And I'm getting about negative 9.13 volts. The minus sign, I guess we don't need to worry too much about that right now. In electronics, we can get by quite far without worrying about it. But all it means is suppose I just reverse these leads the way I touch the battery here, like this. There's my 9 volts. And the other indicator that I knew I did that wrong is if I look very carefully at the 9-volt here, next to this smaller sort of contact here, I do see a plus sign. So that means this is the positive terminal of the 9-volt battery. There's no negative over here, but of course if one is positive, the other has to be negative. So by putting on like this, I'll get the 9 volts. And so I have a nice, good, fresh battery measuring even over 9 volts. This other 9-volt battery here, I don't know anything about it, sort of found it in my supply box right here. Let's just go ahead and make a measurement of it right here. Same sort of way, positive and negative right here. This is only returning 8.22 volts. So whenever a battery does not return its advertised voltage, it says 9 volts is 8.22, it's going bad and you shouldn't use it. It's going to have some very erratic behavior. If I look at this little button battery here, I haven't measured these in a while here. I don't know what side is positive or negative, but if I just sort of hold it up and sort of, I don't really want to touch it too much with my skin. I will just for the sake of this, but I've sort of got a good contact on that side. Here's a contact on the other, and there's 1.5 volts, and that's standard for these little button batteries. They're supposed to be 1.5 volts also, button cell, okay? How about the big D cell right here? Well, there's the positive on the D cell right there, so I'll go ahead and touch the red to this side like that. I'll hold it on there. And the black to this side, 1.63 volts. So this is a very sort of new D cell right here. They're supposed to be 1.5 as advertised right here. I'm getting 1.63 indicating it's probably a new battery. Here's sort of a knockoff battery that I have here, a AA. Again, same type of measurement here. I just happen to know that this side here with this protrusion right here is the positive side. So if I touch it like this and like this, 1.36 volts. You're supposed to be delivering 1.5 volts. All AA's are supposed to be 1.5 volts. I'm getting 1.36, so probably not a very good battery anymore either. The last thing we'll make a quick voltage measurement of is actually these wall warts, these things you plug into the wall. It turns out these are very safe to sort of use in electronics and stuff because inside this box here is something called a transformer, which we'll look at in a later video, which isolates you directly from the current in the household wall, which could be lethal here. But if I read the label on this right here, it says right on here that the input is 100 to 240 volts. That means I can use it in Europe or the United States. Output 9 volts. So what I'll do is I'll just go plug this in, and I have this end over here, which is what I would normally connect to my circuit with. So I'm plugging it in, and there's a little light on there which comes on, which you can't see. Now to measure the voltage this is putting out here, typically the way these things work here is you see a piece of metal on the outside, this black plastic ring here, which is an insulator, and another connector on the inside. That separates the two. So if I hold the black lead to the outside like this, and stick the red lead all the way inside there on the other side, or just sort of in the cavity there, I'm getting 9.18 volts. So you see this wall wart transformer I plug into the wall and delivers the same sort of voltage that this battery does. So wall warts are very convenient ways of getting your circuits powered off of batteries and sort of into the wall in a rather safe manner. So that's the basis of voltage measurements with a meter.